Today we'll be discussing a topic that has been on my mind for some time, and I'm sure it's come up in conversation with you at least once during the week. And I know, more importantly, as a black man in this world, it's just another stereotype that can be used by others and in the media and even by our loved ones. In today's society, so many young men walk the street with their pants sagging. I know you know what sagging means. Most times, it means hanging off the bottom, hanging below your underwear, or sometimes down to your ankles. Yes, showing your whole behind to the world. I mean, I can joke about this, but this style brings so much disappointment and lack of respect for the community, and sometimes, and most times, shall I say, for you as a person. So today, we have amazing guests to discuss what it means and the history behind sagging your pants. And today, we're gonna ask you to pull them up. We'll be right back on Courtney's Corner. Thank you for joining me. And ladies, thank you so much for joining me. We have journalist and author of She-EO versus CEO, Miss Amelia Moore, and graphic designer Zakia Owens. Make some noise for these young ladies. So I know you're wondering, what are these young ladies doing here, right? What do they got to contribute to this? Well, just so you know, women are everything. They rule the world. So I had to start with my ladies. So thank you so much for being here once again. Whew, you do it all. TV show host, journalist, and an author. Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in the entertainment industry for almost 25 years. I started at Atlantic Records and went to G Street Records and finished my executive side in the music industry at Rough Riders as general manager of Rough Riders and president of Rough Rider Lifestyles. Mm-hmm. So understanding how entertainment moves and motivates community, as you like to say, yes. I pretty much know a lot about that.
All right. And Ms. Zakia, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Zakia. I do live in Harlem, New York. I've been practicing graphic design for the past, I'm going to say, 3 or 4 years. I primarily focus into the photography end of things, and I do more film photography. And yeah, I love Brooklyn. I love New York. I just love being a resident. And these are things that impact us, things that we see daily. Well,
I love having you here. So let's get started. So as you guys know, the episode we're discussing right now is Pull Your Pants Up. And this has become like a huge epidemic in our community. And now not just our community, but has spread to other communities and other, backgrounds. Why do you think and where do you think this comes from?
Well, I mean, I know the origin. The origin came from the jail culture, and it got infused with the MCs, rappers, whatever, the hip-hop culture embracing it. And at first it was a fashion fad, and then after a while it just became this anomaly that, to me, I don't appreciate. I think it showcases us in a derogative way. I'm not trying to see your dirty underwear. And I feel like it subliminally gives children, especially our youth, permission to just degrade themselves, and they don't even realize that they're doing it.
Right.
But I think the biggest issue that a lot of people don't realize is in the futures market, they're already telling people to invest in hip replacement technology. And that's because when you wear your pants sagging, your gait changes, and you're getting more friction on your hips.
Right.
And so consequently, they predict that another 20 years from now, that'll be the primary surgery.
Oh, my goodness.
If you're investing in that technology and you've got the cure, you'll be raking in the dollars from
Right. So I like what you said about it starting in jails, right? A lot of our young people today, a lot of the people in the community today have not been there. You know what I'm saying? So what are we doing at home, or what must we do at home to begin to reverse this? I like what you said about these hip replacement. I know I don't want my kid 20 years from now telling me he needs a new hip. I ain't paying for it. So like, what should we do differently? Because I believe me personally, it starts from home and how you are raised. You understand what I'm saying? And this is where we get into community of it. You know what I mean? If you have a good community, then your upbringing is better. You understand what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter where you come from.
Well, Courtney, I really believe it takes a village. I'm also an education specialist at an after-school program in the Southeast Bronx. And some of the homes are fragmented. And so when you're looking for that, that statement sometimes does not apply to some of our youth. So I like to tell the kids, especially my boys, because girls don't really do it that much. I turn around and say, oh, so you're easy access. And they're like, excuse me? And I'm like, well, that's what that means. Because in the jail culture, it meant that you was easy access, come and get it, because it's hidden. So is that what you're saying?
Right.
Because if not, pull it up.
Right. What do you have to say about this, Akeem?
Well, honestly, from my perspective, it's more of a fashion statement, the way that I've been able to see how sagging pants is within the community. And I didn't actually know the origins of it, so it's really interesting for me. But for me, it's the level of how far you're gonna sag these pants. Like, if it's a little bit, okay, it's acceptable, I guess. I would prefer it on your waist, but okay. But the further down you go, it's just like, why are you doing this? That can't be comfortable for you. And you should probably just, pull it up a little bit, put a belt on.
Yes, yes. You were telling me a story before we even got started about a friend of yours.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, please share.
One of my girlfriends, she's real old, well, she's very liberal, but she's very old school as it pertains to attire. And so she tells her kids, and all of her friends tells her kids to tell all of their friends, if they walk into her house with sagging pants, she's poking them. So, so needless to say, when they come into the house, they pull it up. But I think some of those type of over-the-top actions is necessary to just draw attention to this issue, because, when you look at us as a culture, yes, it started primarily with the African-American diaspora, but when you look at us and how we dressed in like the 20s and the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, even in the 60s and the 70s when we were talking about Black Power, I'm Black and I'm proud, and then all of a sudden this thing came.
Yes.
And now we're every color in the rainbow, everything. But who we really are, which is descendants of kings and queens. And so how did we get so far from where we started?
Right.
And I think a lot of it has to do with knowledge of self. So I know with my kids, I put up a board this year about Jim Crow and Black Code, so that they can understand this is learned behavior. This is not innate behavior.
So do you feel that having role models are necessary? Because I like what you said, was saying like, what we shouldn't allow. But how do we set that awareness? Most people nowadays are just so judgmental when it comes to this instead of being informative. You know what I mean? Just posting a sign for someone to read sometime is not enough. We need to have these conversations with our young men. You know what I mean? We're trying to create young men. You understand what I'm saying? To grow up into the world and to lead. But what do we do? And as women, how can you empower our young men to do that?
Well, in regards to a role model, I definitely do think it is important to have someone, especially a fashion icon, someone that you can look at in order to be like, oh, I like their style. It relates to me. And like how this person is dressing. It's like I can see myself doing the same that they're doing. Like they're a professional, they're an entrepreneur, they're doing what it is, they're representing themselves the way that they want other people to perceive their message. So I think that's very important to have like a role model for that.
Okay.
But as far as, I don't want people to believe that only the way that you dress is how you should be perceived, because there is a whole other person beyond that. Because this person could be wearing saggy clothes or clothing that doesn't fit them properly just because they can't afford to purchase new clothing. So I think we kind of should have like a broader aspect or a broader way of thinking about it.
I agree, but isn't perception everything? When you go into an interview, if you walked in with saggy pants and a dirty shirt, who's gonna hire you? You know what I mean?
Right. If you come in, of course you don't want to walk in with the saggy pants and a dirty shirt. However, if you're coming like with it, if it's a little bit too big, but if it's pressed, then that's a different type of like you're trying. You can only work with the things that you do have, and people are limited. But of course, there are other resources for you to try and get these things that can help. Of course, a lot of churches do give away free clothes, and there are other programs that you're able to go get the type of resource that you do need in order to help.
Right. What about yourself?
I would love to see a more broader conversation with a lot of the icons. I always think about when Jay-Z got rid of the jersey and started with the button-ups, and then everybody and their grandmother was wearing button-ups. Imagine if he did the same thing with the saggy pants.
I agree.
So I think, I truly believe it takes a village, and I don't feel that this conversation, because it affects more of our males than our females, I feel like this really should come from the other side of the fence, in that it's like young men, like, really? You know? And as far as the mothers and the female role models, I try to tell my young ladies, well, do you want somebody that's just going to go here, or do you want somebody that's going to go here? Help him to go here by telling him, stop sagging your pants.
Right.
And
but you said something earlier about like the fraction of it. There are a lot of homes that don't have male.
But that's why I talk to the young girls.
Right.
Because see, you know, it's a real weird equation, but men do what women want. And somewhere down the line, we as women kind of relinquished that. And following what they want as opposed to what we want.
Yes.
And I feel like part of that is the reason why we're in imbalance. You know, and I've spoken to a lot of older women just on this subject, my elders, I mean, like senior citizens,
Yes.
to say like, how did they listen to you, but yet when we try to do the same thing, they're not listening to us.
Right.
And yeah, definitely it's a different age and time, but they say, y'all just let anything go. You know,
Oh, right.
we had this. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's what it takes, then, you know, that's what we kind of got to get back to. So
Right.
it's like...
Or for me, I think it's more so of the times that we're in. You know, when I was growing up, my grandmother didn't play that. There was no leaving the house sagging anything but your eye if you walked out there with your underwear showing. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, I do believe the times have changed, and not so much the time, but we were talking about this before, it's become more of a social media age, and more so of what you were saying before, like, I want to look like what I see on TV. You understand? Because that's what's in. So if Tekashi is wearing his pants below his, you know, his waist, you understand what I'm saying? And Lil Wayne could do it, then why can't I? You understand?
And this is what I love to tell the children. That is an imaginary world. The world that celebrities live is nowhere in connection to what the average American lives.
Yes.
They are pampered, they are catered to, they are spoiled. You know what I mean? They are given everything to keep them happy so that they can perform.
Yes.
But in the real world, nobody cares. Like, let's just be honest with it.
Yes.
If you're having a bad day, oh well, sadly you're having a bad day, but I'm gonna still do my thing. So it's not that same equation.
Right.
And so you don't get the pass. See, people will deal with a celebrity that's had a bad day until they're not hot no more, and then they find out their own reality. But a kid finds that out like this,
Right.
as soon as they do unacceptable behavior. And we need to draw that line. We
Right.
need that line to be clearly drawn, that this is entertainment, this is
Real life, yes. What do you say about that, Zakia?
Well, I want to go back to the idea of women or the young woman like needing to put the men in check about like the way that they wear their clothing. Men can do what they want at the end of the day. Like, you can tell them how I feel. Like, I would prefer you, if you want to be with me, I prefer you to do these things, but we are our own individuals, and I think we need to take the blame off of the person that they're with, and like, they need to be accountable for their own.
Oh, no, I agree with you, but what I'm saying is, I agree with you 200%, but what I'm saying is, because he wants to get to know you, and because you don't like them sagging pants, trust and believe, I've seen it, they will pick it up until they're not interested in you anymore.
But
and or they find that young lady that doesn't like it.
But people are going to do what it is that they want to do, and they're only going to self-gratify. So it's something that they genuinely want to do. I want to change my own perception. I want to do this for myself. Then that's when that change is actually going to happen.
So like from within, not from what being said to you, but wanting to do it for yourself.
Exactly.
This is some juicy stuff. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. So during the break, Amelia was on fire right now. Can we just go right back into what you were saying, please?
No, I was telling Zakia that I agree, but I think that mindset from the millennial standpoint is where we, the generation that kind of raised you guys, went wrong. Because we did not want to live under the tight grip. We didn't want to give you guys the same lifestyle we had, which was the tight grip that your grandmother talked about, that you talked about as far as your grandmother. So we gave you this, this world of like, you don't have to be forced to do this. We're going to give this to you. You can do and be. And I feel like it kind of worked backwards. You know what I mean? Because of the mere fact that it's like, yes, you have the right to be who you are. But I think we focalized it so much to the point where it became centralized that the sense of community and beyond, you know what I mean? And so on one side, we gave you this great thing of purpose. I think your generation is so stuck on purpose. I love it. But I think the other side of it is this whole free to be that kind of sometimes gets in you guys' own way.
Well, I'm first generation American, and that whole idea of you having the right to just, you know, just be and accept, and we fought for that. That wasn't just a given. That's I'm outwardly going against what it is that you're telling me to do, so this way I can do what it is that I feel like I need to do for self-fulfillment. So I think that's the connection of the two is a little, it doesn't work for me, just because of
Yeah, but the liberties that you got when you were young, for you to have that, that presence that says, I can make this executive decision
was from somebody before you.
That was instilled to you when you were young, and that's something that we believed that we wanted to pass on. If you really start, because I'm looking at this, because I'm looking at Gen Z and Gen Y, and how you guys and us are affecting them. And when you talk about a younger generation that anything goes to the point where they're not going anywhere.
That's so true. So what do we say to our young men now? Like, look into the camera and speak to them and let them know what piece of advice, a word of encouragement that you as young women can give to them, like, to make things better for them. Like how, you talk about the younger generation. So speaking to them, what can you say, what piece of advice can you say, you know, to encourage them to, it's okay being who you are, but sometimes perception is everything, like I stated before. And pulling your pants up is the right thing to do. There's nothing cool about.
What I like to tell kids, and I'll look at the camera for this one, time and place. Time and place is the most critical thing in living in today's world. If you want to wear your sagging pants with your boys and your mans in them, fine. But when you go into corporate America, that's not acceptable. And you put a glass ceiling on top of your head that prohibits you from rising to the top. So the sooner you understand time and place, the better you'll be able to make executive decisions.
I agree. What about you, Zakia?
Well, of course, there's the idea of fake it until you make it, and I definitely agree with that, because no matter what, you do have to put on a mask, or at least put on your perception in order for you to be able to get into the positions that you would like to get into. So yes, you do have to change what it is that you are on the outside, but whatever it is that you're wearing, it doesn't change who you are on the inside. It doesn't change who you are, it doesn't change your work ethic, it doesn't change what type of goals you're actually going to achieve. But sometimes you do have to play the game.
I agree. Now, before we go, Ms. Amelia, let's talk about your book, CEO versus CEO. Tell them a little bit about this.
Well, CEO versus CEO is an executive's handbook on female diversity training. I believe if you want to change the nature of society, it starts with us, the women, the nurturers of the world. And too many times I'm sitting in rooms with young ladies like yourself, and I'm hearing about you not being heard, or you not being given the promotion or whatever, just basically due to your gender. So I felt like some of the problems is that somewhere it got lost that you have to learn how to define yourself, first of all, and you have to learn how to understand where your position is in the business playing field, and how to reposition yourself. Like, for example, that nasty B word, you know, that when you're aggressive and you're a go-getter and you don't accept no, and you're going toe-to-toe with your male counterparts, they call it with that. And it's to take away your energy. Well, I flip it. And I said, before you call me that, let me tell you what that definition is. Beautiful, intelligent, talented corporate hustler. Yes, I'm a B. And I'm proud. So all of a sudden what I found out is that they don't call me that no more. So I think that's some of the stuff that's in the book, is just how to play the game from a female perspective, and understanding what it means that gender is. It's about your skill set.
Well, I suggest everybody go get this book. It is a must read. And before we go, I know you wanted to shout somebody out.
Oh, happy birthday, Mom!
Happy birthday, Mom. We'll be right back with more Courtney's Corner. Thank you for watching and thank you for joining. With me today are the founders of East New York, ENY Reign. Let's give it up for Musa Superville and Tyrone Holly, everybody. All right, fellas, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
My name is Musa Superville. I'm the executive director and founder of East New York Reign. Reign is re-educating individuals for the growth of the nation. We mentor boys between the ages of 8 and 16 in East New York.
All right, Mr. Tyrone.
How you doing? Honored to be here. Thanks a lot. My name is Tyrone Holly. I'm a resident of East New York, born and raised. I have 2 kids. I have a son and a daughter. I'm also the executive director of East New York Reign, on side of my brother Musa. I run a school-based program, and I'm also a mentor from 8 to 16.
Well, thank you so much for being here, guys. Let's start off by talking about when this got started. We've known each other since I was a baby, so it's so weird to be full circle right now. It's good to, and then to know that you've been a part of my family on the other side of things. So it's good having you. It feels like home. When did we get started with this program? When did that happen?
We started in November 2016. And basically, it derived from me being with my kids. I have 2 boys that are 15 and 17. I was a single father for a while, and I just see the need for strong male role models. So I stepped up and started that program.
And how has it flourished so far?
Well, we just got our 501c3 in April, and I hooked up with my brother, Tyrone Holly. We got incorporated, and we got to spread our message. Like, we are working on Rikers Island, we're working in the public schools, and we do a lot of community-based work in East New York, Linden Houses, Boulevard, and Penn Workman.
Okay, what is the mission statement of this organization?
Our mission statement is like our title said, we are to empower our kids. We are some of the brothers that was once in the community, taken out of the community. So now we decided to give back to the community, and that's our faith and our belief. We just want to give back to the community. We want to serve our kids. Our kids are not aware of a lot of things that we are aware of. So my passion is to make our kids aware of these things that they're not aware of.
You talk about being taken out of the community. So let's talk a little bit about what was back then, right? How has your past fueled what you're doing right now?
Well, me, I'm brought up Caribbean American. I'm the baby of 5, I'm the youngest boy. But we all was raised in Flatbush, and then we moved to East New York. So like, that's where I feel like I embrace the neighborhood and being in the streets, like growing up with you and your cousins. Like, y'all was my little brothers.
Yes.
I was a little brother. So even when I was in the streets doing wrong, I always had a sense of community and reaching back for those behind me.
Yes.
So when I changed my life, I started to change what I was giving out to the youth. So instead of negative, I was giving out positive feedback.
Okay. And for you?
I think that it was, I'm born up in that neighborhood. I was raised by my mother and father. They set real good family values in this household, and I think it was me that went outside of that, right? And then when I did get out there, I did have communication with the community and the people in the community. And that I didn't know, but the communication wasn't for the good, it was for the bad.
Right.
So just holding on to me, knowing that people will listen to me and do respect me, I didn't use it in the right way at that time.
Right.
I used it, in the opposite way that we wasn't supposed to use it in. But that's what, when I seen that, and I did decide to straighten out my life, I was, that's what drove me. That's what gave me the drive, that I did have people out there that would listen to me. Right. And it was like I was a, okay, you'll say role model, right? Not in a good way. It was the role model in a bad way, but it's just the fact of me knowing that they would listen to me. So I said, if I changed my life and brought something positive to them, then I can get their attention, and so we can start working with them.
And like a door reverse.
Right, that's what I was doing, reversing, basically like reverse psychology. So, I did put it in effect, and it had been working for us. I have been able to touch the kids throughout my experiences, in life. I think that's the big thing that they look at.
Right.
I think that's one of the big things they can relate to, right? Because they really don't want to try to it's thing where they can't relate to a brother with a PhD coming from Harvard. They don't want to hear that.
Right.
So I guess the system developed like, let's put, you know, their people in there, people that they can relate to, and people that have been through the experiences that they're going through.
Right. Well, I spoke to my fellow ladies before, and I wanted to ask you guys the same question. Where do you guys think this sagging thing started from and originated from? Just your perspective as men.
I'll say jail. In jail, it was a fashion statement, and I would say not just it was a fashion statement, but it was also a sign of you being somebody. You know, you had the pants hanging down, you had your BVDs. So back then it was BVDs, and that's underwear. That's underwear, the t-shirt and the shorts, and that's the reason why people wanted their underwear to be shown back then. That's why the sagging came about, right? Because these underwear were called BVDs. It was a name brand underwear. Everybody was wearing them, you know. So the older brothers started putting those on. They want the underwear to show, and then I think it just got a little
out of control.
Out of control.
And for you?
I feel the same thing. Like, it started in jail, and like people was imitating it, not knowing that it was out of necessity. I can't have a belt in jail, or I might not have pants that fit me. So I don't have no choice but to sag.
To sag your pants, right?
So like younger kids seeing older guys, they was like, oh, that's cool. So they started following the fad. You feel me? And it's like, I'm an 80s baby. We grew up in the 90s. As far as I'm concerned, we invented the swag.
That's true.
You know what I mean? But we had it, like, we didn't take it to the extreme. We had on belts, first of all. Even if it was the $5 Africa belt with all the holes in it, we had on belts.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it was like, it was a certain standard to it. You feel me? But you wouldn't do it all the time. Like Sis said earlier, it's time and place. So if I'm moving with my moms, my pants is up on my waist. But when I'm moving with my people, I might sag a little bit.
Right.
Like, our kids don't have that distinction.
Yes, I agree.
At all.
I agree. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Courtney's Corner. Thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Oh man, once again, like I was telling him, we've grown up with each other, so it's so good to have you here.
Thank you.
Tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do.
All right, well, my name is Seferino. I come from Queens Village. I've been growing up in there since 1997. Grew up in Brooklyn, Flatbush. Currently, I'm a manager for a mental health agency. I run a residence that houses mentally disabled and developmentally disabled adults. Been in the field about 7 years, you know, and that, previous to that, I was in law enforcement and resigned back in 2015. So, you know.
So we're all, some way, somehow, there's a connection,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
I'm happy to have you guys here. So once again, we're discussing pulling up your pants, and one of the things that you had said was that your program reaches out to the youth who are in jail and like other programs. So how is that going out and doing that in the jail setting?
It's just pretty much about credibility, like real recognize real. I've been in their pace before, I've been through their shoes, and I came out on the other side. So like, you don't have to personally know me to feel that vibe of me. So like we've been getting very good receptions. They've been offering us more programs, and like I'm excited because I can see the change in the work that I'm doing with them. So I really look forward to that. Right.
One of the things that I wanted to touch on is the generation, right? You had said that we're 80s babies, right? And we grew up in the 90s. We created this swag for the ones that are coming up right now, right? And I also stated that it's become such a thing, this generation of sagging their pants and whatever it may be. Somehow, someone, like the lady said before, it's our fault, right? Because we created that. We created that as a thing that was cool. And now that it's gotten out of control, how do we as men bring it back? As a community, how can we kind of reverse all of this and kind of bring it back to a place of normalcy?
Yeah, like I was saying, my brother Musa said, I try to show him now because I was the one out there that started it. So you're right, I'm not gonna tell somebody to do something and I'm not doing it. So my everyday activity, I'm dressed like this today, but I'm usually dressed like that, right? So they always see me looking presentable, respectful, ready for the corporate world, ready for the educational world. So this is what I do to them. And a lot of them do follow up. Okay. They see me, they say, oh, yeah, I'm interested.
What about you, Seth?
Well, I go back to what you guys have said. It's about leadership and leading them, and leading by example. I started to mentor a young man, coming up, and he's about 12 years old now. He was starting to go the left way, as you said. I've never sagged. I mean, it would look weird for me to sag, but anyway, it's just I had to tell him, you see how I am. Not to boast or say, I'm better than anybody, but this is how you should look. Or that this is it's okay to look that, exactly. Growing up, even I did. I had the issue, you heard about it too. You're always dressed up. That's just how it was. My mother instilled in me, when you're going out, look good. Even down to your underwear. Same thing we talking about. It's like, don't make sure you don't have any holes in it. Make sure, God forbid, anything can happen to you. Anything can happen. Make sure you look all right. Because if they got to cut the stuff off of you, you don't want to be, lacking in that, exactly.
Yes.
But it's all by example,
So what pieces of advice do you have to give to young men right now who are going through this? What do you want to say to them?
Don't be afraid to be you, because there's only one you.
And for you?
Pull your pants up.
Plain and simple.
I hope everybody can take something from this and, knows that it's okay to be you, as you said, follow up with that. It's all right. You don't have to be with the in crowd. Just, do what makes you comfortable.
Before we go, I know you want to plug in your sweater.
Yes, I want to say a shout out to my sister, Kamara Jackson, Elite Learners, based out of Brownsville. And she's doing great work with the kids out there. She's in the schools. She's working the Cure Violence program. And her brother O. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them. Peace.
We'll be right back with Courtney's question. As civil rights activist and Pastor Martin Luther King Jr. once said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. So as we wrap up today's show, I ask each of you to think about what you can do around your community to uplift it. No matter how big or how small it may be, just know that there is strength in unity. I thank my young men and my lovely lady for being here today, and our lovely musical guests. Please tune in next week for more Courtney's Corner. I love you and I thank you for watching.
I see this girl walking by on the corner, contemplating my spit game 'cause I want her. So to break the mold of being shy, I said, hello sister, you caught my eye. She was amazingly, oh so cold, so inviting, she made me feel brand new. Moments into our conversation, her mind was on so much elevation. She got brains, she got beauty, she really got it going on. So sexy and intelligent, perfect combo, can't go wrong. Ooh. She's so captivating, I can't keep waiting. Yeah, beauty so radiant and divine, imagery buried deep in my mind. Not to mention her body is banging. Curiosity got the cat still hanging. I'm so really digging her style. Excellence written all over her profile. She's not complicated, not typical, not hard to impress, not superficial, not status quo. She's marvelous. She got beauty. She really got it going on. So sexy and intelligent, perfect combo, can't go wrong. She's so captivating, baby. I said I can't keep waiting. Whoa, yeah. Can I be a Casanova? I said